I just want to start today by offering my condolences on the passing of Dejan Milojević. It's a sad loss for our whole league, but in particular for Dejan's family. I want to offer our thoughts and prayers and our condolences, and for the Golden State family as well. It's just a very difficult thing, and he was beloved. I didn't know him directly, but I know a lot of people that had known him, and just a really positive person. And his loss is being felt league-wide. Questions?
Frank, I talked before about just ran into Josh Kobe and Pelican at one time. Did you know anything about Grayson or run into him anywhere before he joined you guys this year?
Yeah, so I had two different conversations with Grayson. Actually, I don't think I actually spoke to him directly in Milwaukee, but when I was out in each of my sabbatical years, after Orlando and after LA, I visited different teams. And, the first time I met him was when I was visiting Quinn Snyder in Utah. And Grayson and I were just having breakfast together at the same time. So, introduced myself and told him I'm a fan of his game. And, so I got to spend a little bit of time with him there. And then I saw him briefly when I visited the Bucks. And Coach Budenholzer last year. So those are the two times I met him before coming here.
When there's a player that might have like a questionable reputation, whether it's legit or not, do you reach out to coaches or people that they've been around in the past to try to identify who they are?
I didn't in this case. I mean, sometimes you do, but I didn't. I never felt that with Grayson. I felt like he's just a competitor, and everything I've seen since then shows me that is all in his past. He's just a guy that's going out there and playing clean and playing hard. So that's what we've seen.
And then one last thing, what you said the other night that he surpassed your expectations. What were your expectations when you came in?
A good role player. A guy who can shoot the basketball, guard some. High IQ guy. But he's just all of that. It's just a notch or two above, what we expected.
Is that kind of good credit to him? He was able to shake that reputation coming out of college, just show that you can be a player in the league for a long time. You just got to put in the work and perform well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the credit to him is that his game is speaking for itself. It's not about anything other than that. He's just become a hell of a basketball player.
That just comes from basically being Duke product. There's a lot of those guys have longevity coming from that institution of the brotherhood, but not necessarily as superstars coming out of maybe like one guy, Kentucky, like Devin, Shea, all that. Guys got like that.
Yeah, there's some, there's a Duke element to it, I'm sure. Going back to the Leitner days and those teams. Everybody loved to hate them, but I think that's just part of it.
Coach Kevin was telling us about the conversations that he had with you last summer, kind of offering himself up to be a lockdown defender. What were those conversations kind of like, hearing that from a guy who's obviously top offensive player of all time?
Yeah, it's just like he said it. He said you don't have to try to hide me on weaker offensive players. That I want that challenge. Of guarding the other team's top guy. And, my response is always, well, we'll manage certain games to try to save your legs some, and save some of those situations for the fourth quarter. When we need it most. But he's always been willing to take whatever matchup we offered him, and he's even asked to be on certain guys to help slow guys down. It's a real credit to him as a competitor and as a winner.
And a couple of housekeeping things. How is Bull progressing? And also with Damion, I know you said it would be kind of before the end of the season, but is there any update on that?
Yeah, Damion's still a ways away, we're still hopefully getting back, before the end of the season. And Bull is going to be out tomorrow. Won't travel with us, but still don't feel like it's long term.
What do you think a win like the other night could do for this team? Notice anything? Better spirit, better energy. You guys have always been good about that. With this really see things today coming off that thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was just every small success throughout the NBA season is a confidence builder. No matter what your guys have done collectively in their careers, each group has to feel those successes together. This roster of players, our coaching staff, all of us working together for the first time. You know, a big success like that, like a 22-point fourth quarter comeback, it was a huge confidence booster for you know, for what we can do. And but I think it just stacks on top of what we've done over the last few weeks. You know, we feel really good about the direction our team is going, and you know, that just stacks on top of it.
Can you see the time together kind of paying off, I guess, in real time in a way?
Absolutely. You know, it's we're growing every day. You know, even from the film, you know, the first 3 quarters, you know, which we watched that too. We didn't just watch the comeback today. We could have been better to not get down 22, but also, you know, the resolve we showed, you know, and to not give up on the game, to continue to believe in what we can do with the 3-point shooting we have out there, with the lineup that we put out there, and you know, the never quit mindset.
Is that win, like, could that be a season-changing win for you guys? Just trending in the right direction?
You know, I wouldn't go that far. You know, I mean, I think it's one of the successes that we've had that's going to build, you know, build us going in a positive direction, build our confidence and in one another and this group being together for the first year together. But you know, it's definitely a confidence booster.
When you look at the Pelicans and their size, especially with the starting lineup that you guys like to run out, I know size has been a disadvantage, but how do you kind of look at this particular matchup?
Yeah, they got to guard us. You know, they create some problems for sure with matchups and whatnot. You know, and it's something we've talked at length about. But you know, with all these things, you know, we got an offensive lineup that is equally as challenging to guard.
Is it gratifying when you kind of you've been preaching like we need time together, we need reps, get everyone healthy? Now that you're seeing it and seeing kind of the lineup data of what you guys are capable of doing when you can build those reps together.
Yeah, and I honestly don't even think we've scratched the surface yet of, you know, what we're ultimately going to be. Hopefully, the last few weeks of the regular season going into the playoffs. You know, we're going to continue to tweak and evaluate with our roster, okay, and different personnel. But with how we're using, you know, those guys as well, and you know, I just think there's a growth mindset with this group that is really healthy and really positive, and you know, we're off to a pretty good start, you know, from a standpoint of these guys playing together healthy, and hopefully it continues to grow.
Are you comfortable with the way your point guard situation is developing with these guys?
Yeah, it's still a work in progress. You know, it's still imperfect, but you know, a lot of positives.
Would you be more comfortable with a specific designated point guard rather than, you know, moving it around the way you have?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of actions, right? We have, you know, Book and Brad are handling that as primary ball handlers. You know, but in flow, anybody can bring it. You know, even our center at times is going to bring it and get into DHO type of action. You know, that's how we want to attack early in the clock. You know, so it's coming along.
Coach, obviously of those last 5 that you put out last game, a lot of people talked about their offense, and I know you talked a lot about Kevin's defense, but what did you see collectively and then defensively to close out that game?
Yeah, I thought all 5 really competed at a high level. You know, Eric Gordon had some switch outs, had some one-on-one plays. Grayson had some hellacious blocks inside and steals, and Book and Brad are flying around out there. So, I mean, there was a high level of competitive spirit with some big-time athleticism. You know, not the biggest group, but high IQ guys, and guys can get the job done. So, you know, I loved how they competed.
The Pelicans have basically righted their ship ever since that in-season tournament loss to the Lakers, and you guys are just doing the same right after Christmas. So, what can you see for similarities and difference between their big three with Collin, Zion, and Ingram, as well as your big three?
Yeah, I mean, they're also 8-3 in their last 11. You know, they're playing really good basketball. Made 25 threes last night against Charlotte, and you know, if Brandon Ingram's going to make 7 threes, you know, with everything else that he can do, they're you know, they're a legit team. I mean, they're big time and a real concern. I would say they're further along in their continuity than we are and their system because they've been together longer. You know, but I like our chances against anyone. But they're playing great basketball.
Thanks, Coach.